The inspiration for this project is a Mexican Nicho box, which is really just a shadow box. They are made out of tin and they're quite ornate. So I looked at those and I thought we could make those using a cereal box. I love to make things out of items that we already have that might be thrown away. So right here I've worked out the dimensions. So all of my end pieces are 1.5 inches, and you can see where they are on the ruler. 4 inches across, and that's the back of our shadow box. And then our length is 4.5 inches long. So it is slightly longer than it is wide. So the next part is we've got to cut this apart, taking out those square ends. To make life easier, I'm going to give you something that you can trace around to do this, but you could make a shadow box just about any size of your liking. If you'd like to come up with your own dimensions, you can certainly do that. But you have to measure carefully, making measuring marks top and bottom so that when you lay your ruler across, you have a straight line. So all 4 of these boxes get cut out on the sides, and that will allow us to fold it up into a box. Once you have all those 4 corners, you're going to need to flip it over and use what I call, it's kind of like an X-Acto knife, but it's called a slice knife, and you're going to see that in the next frame. A slice knife is interesting because it won't cut skin, but it will cut paper and cardboard. So I like those because there's no danger in using them. You're not going to hurt yourself. It is a ceramic blade, and they will be numbered along with your seat number, and they are to be given back to me after you're finished using them. Notice I'm putting the cap on the end of the slice knife so I don't lose the cap. Okay, so here I'm going to start measuring, although I think I decided to flip it over and do it from the other side. And the only real reason to do this, you could do it from either side, is I thought perhaps some of the printing might show through the paper mache. So I'm going to score. Scoring is cutting without cutting all the way through. And you notice how easy that makes it bend? So I'm going to score all 4 sides, and that will be able to be folded up to create a box. And there's my basic box shape. Now the next part is I'm going to need to take some masking tape and tape those corners up so that they stay in place. And you want to make sure you get that masking tape just right so it holds those corners together nice and tight. And you don't have to worry if there's a little bit of opening someplace, because we will be going over this with paper mache, which will enclose it and make it nice and strong in the end. So now all 4 corners are held together with the tape. Now I'm going to go ahead and create a back piece that is going to come up above my piece, just like you saw in the original Nicho box. There was a part that came up above, and you can hang it with that. It just creates a little more decoration, and this will give us a little more strength as well. So I'm going to cut off part of the end, and you get to decide how tall you want to make that piece or what kind of shape it is going to be. So I'm cutting off the excess here. So we want it to be 4 inches wide, just like our box, and slightly taller than our box. So again, you have to mark top and bottom so that when you lay the ruler across, you get a straight line. I can't tell you how many times I've seen people just put one measuring mark, and then of course the line isn't going to be straight. Really important to do both. Okay. Now marking the ends there, and I'm going to draw from that middle point to the edges to create kind of a decorative top. And what yours looks like is up to you. It should be kind a mirror image of itself to make it look nice. So this is what I've done here. I've created pretty close to a mirror image. And then I've shown you before, and I don't think that's in this one, but you will see it later. But when you're adhering that, you are going to want to put glue on and spread it with a piece of cardboard so that it holds. So now moving on to the paper mache. So there is a wrong and a right way to pull down the paper. So you notice how it comes in one smooth strip there, but the other way, if I pulled it in the other direction, it only made like a part of, it just came off in a little piece. So you want to run with the grain, and you'll begin to see which way to tear it. Then I'm going to tear up all those pieces, and those are going to be dipped in the paper mache. Paper mache is wheat paste, and I'm dipping it in, but I'm taking the excess off by running it between my 2 fingers. You want to do that because you want the paste in there, but you don't want it soggy. In some places where it seems a little too wet, I might even go in and put a drier piece over top. And right here, I'm using the paper mache paste that's already on my hands and putting it in there. So I'm going to cover the entire surface with paper mache. It'll probably take about 2 class periods for you to get this done. You're going to wrap it all the way around. You want to secure everything. You don't want lumps and bumps in your paper. You want to make sure it's laying flat, that there's no creases, because that'll give you a nicer, smoother look. I'm wrapping it around the edge there, around the back, and I'm going to keep working this until I have as much covered as possible. Now you don't want it too thick either. If it's too thick with paper mache, it'll take a very long time to dry. We basically want to get it covered and secured. You have to be efficient with this. You can't, think I'm going to come in the next day and just finish everything off. Like I said, try to get most of it done in 1 class period. We'll see where we're at. You're probably going to need 2 class periods, but if you goof around, you don't do this, you're probably not going to get it done. So this is going to be our shadow box, and I'm going to show you all the different parts we're going to use to make this an interesting piece. I'm thinking we're going to probably go with a holiday theme, and I'll show you more about that in the next videos. So here it's pretty wet, so I'm putting some dry pieces on top so it's not sopping wet. And you notice it's losing its shape a little bit, but as it dries, it will shrink and pull it back to its regular shape. So I'm careful to wrap the edges around, make sure nothing's sticking out, making it look good. I'm looking for good craftsmanship. If you don't do this part right, the rest won't look as good either. So we're going to do a combinations of backgrounds, some origami on top, all different kinds of things. In places, I even wrap some of the strips all the way around. The very last part here, you can see I'm writing my full name. I'm writing the color of my table. and what section I am. And I am going to adhere that to the back of my box so that I know whose is whose and it can get back to me. We're going to have to set these on the drying rack for a while for them to dry, and I will put them into your table boxes so that you can get yours back readily the next day. If you don't do this, I won't know who it belongs to. Every project we have, I always have a few students who don't put their names on. I keep reminding you that's something that has to happen every time. You might want to look for a light piece of paper to do that.